I don't know if you've seen these yet, but Leviton has come out with a new line of electrical devices that basically integrates the technology of a Wago lever nut into their outlets and switches. They call this new line the Leviton Decora Edge. I have a 15 amp receptacle here, but they also offer both a single pole and three-way switches in this line as well. So in this video, we're going to go over all the unique features of these new devices, exactly how they work, pricing, and whether or not I think these might be a good option for your next project. So let's get right into it. By now, most of you are likely familiar with the Wago lever nut. These little devices were made to replace the conventional wire nut since they're so quick and easy to use. You just open your lever, plug in your wires, snap the levers closed, and your connection's made. So what Leviton has done here is add a very similar lever connection feature to their standard residential grade Decora devices. So now, rather than connecting your wires with screw terminals like on these standard devices, they use these lever activated connections instead. So there's no need to make hooks or loops for connecting to the screw terminals with these new devices. There's even a lever connection for the ground, which tells me that Leviton must have a lot of confidence in the reliability of these new connections. 15 amp residential grade devices that offer the backstab connections have no stab for the ground wire. Your ground will still need to be connected with the screw terminal on the device. I think that's due to the fact that these stab connections are not very reliable. Also, with these stab connections, they're only listed for 14 gauge solid core wire, and they can only be used one time. After you depress the spring and remove the wire, that connection cannot be used again. These new devices are UL and CSA approved for 12 and 14 gauge solid or stranded copper wire, and you can reuse the connections as often as needed. To make the connection, you just open the lever, insert your wire into the hole, and snap the lever closed. That's it, your connection is made. There's a definite audible snap sound as well, so you know the lever is closed properly and the spring tension has been released. So that's how they work, but there are some pretty important features you should know about if you're going to use these devices. Oh, and I'll show you this not so obvious feature as well. First are these little tabs that you see on the top and bottom of the device. They make this receptacle really tall, and a standard cover plate will not work with these in place. These are used if your drywall is cut out a little too large around the box. So rather than using spacers or some other method, you would just leave these on in order to get the device to sit flush to the wall and snug to the wall. Then you'd use an oversized cover so that it would fit over the top of these tabs. But since most of the time these aren't going to be needed, we're just going to break them off. So we'll just grab them with these lineman's pliers and we'll bend them back and forth a few times and they should break right off. Now you can see they're the same size as a standard receptacle and they'll make up just right in your wall box without the need for a special cover. If we look at the back of the device, we'll see these markings to show you which wire goes to each connection. On this side, it's marked hot for your hot wire. And over here, it's marked white for your neutral wire. And then down on the bottom, it's marked green or bare for your ground wire connection. But what's even better, in addition to the markings here on the back, the levers are actually color coded, making it super easy for an inexperienced person to identify which wire goes where. We have the white neutral levers on this side, and the black hot levers over here on the other side. I don't know if you've noticed, but the green lever for the ground connection is actually on the same side as the hot wire connections on this receptacle. On a standard receptacle, the ground screw is always on the same side as the neutral connections. Now I suppose it doesn't matter, but it is different. Now if we flip it over on its side, you'll see on the bottom here there's a wire strip gauge. This will show you exactly how much insulation to remove from your wire to make a good connection. So you simply place your wire in the slot to mark it, then you strip off that amount of insulation with your wire strippers. Now this can be a pretty handy feature for people who don't do this every day. It'll ensure you don't strip your wire too short and make a bad connection, or strip it too long leaving extra copper sticking out of the back, Another thing that's really cool is, as you can see, there are no exposed electrical terminals like you find on a standard device. Now, I don't find the screw terminals to be an issue because I always work with the power off, but I still think this is a great feature, especially for the DIYer. Now, you may be wondering, what if I want to split this receptacle and have one side controlled by a switch? Is this possible with these devices? It is. You just open this little white cover, and then you'd break off the tab like you would on a standard receptacle. And then you close the cover back up. It seems to me that Leviton is really focusing on the DIYer with these new devices. They've made them really easy to wire. Very little risk of any of the common issues that you see inexperienced people making when wiring receptacles and switches. Another cool feature are these little notches and tabs. These are used when you're going to add more than one device to a box. This little point will line up with the notch on your other device. This will ensure the height and spacing will be lined up perfectly and your cover plate will slide on without needing to make any adjustments at all. Pretty cool. So what about price? These are currently listed at $3.48 each, while the standard tamper-resistant Decora device is listed at $3.45. So about the same price, but they're about $2.50 each if you were to buy a box of 10. So now I thought we'd do a little time test. We'll install this standard duplex receptacle right here in this box with these wires which are already stripped, but we'll have to bend our J-hooks, we'll have to connect them to the terminals, and we'll tighten down all the screws, even the ones without any wires on them. And then we'll run the same test on this new Leviton Decora Edge and we'll see if it's any faster. Well, that may not have been a huge surprise, but yes, this new Leviton Decora Edge receptacle is a whole lot faster to install than a standard receptacle. We'll have to see how these devices hold up over time, but since they're designed very similar to the Wago lever nut, they may hold up pretty well. So is this new design the future of our electrical devices? I don't know, but I do want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments down below. Hey, and if you're wondering whether pigtails are your best option for wiring connections, you may want to watch this video next. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next one.